Group PSA podcast. I'm your host, Katie, and joining me are Ashlynn and Jonas. Today, we are diving into a critically important topic, child abuse, including neglect, how it affects vulnerable groups like the LGBTQ plus youth, how the COVID-19 pandemic has influenced trends, and what we can do to prevent it. Thanks for joining me, both of you.
Thanks for having me. This issue touches every community. According to the National Children's Alliance, more than 600,000 U.S. children are confirmed victims of abuse or neglect each year. And tragically, about 1,700 children die annually because of it. Most cases involve neglect, which makes up nearly 3/4 of all reports.
That's staggering. And neglect isn't always visible. It can mean kids aren't getting enough food, medical care, or even emotional support. These are often warning signs that can go unnoticed if people are unaware of what to look for.
Right, and certain groups face even greater risks, especially LGBTQ plus youth. The archives of the American Academy of Political and Social Science published a study in 2021 showing that LGBTQ plus teens are 3 to 4 times more likely to experience homelessness or family violence compared to their heterosexual peers.
Exactly. Rejection from family can push these teens into unsafe situations, foster care, shelters, or even the streets, where there are higher risks for neglect and exploitation. The trauma that follows can lead to long-term struggles with anxiety, depression, and trust.
That's why creating supportive, affirming environments matters so much. Family acceptance and understanding can drastically reduce mental health risks for LGBTQ plus youth.
Let's shift to the COVID-19 pandemic and its impact. How did that change child abuse trends?
Interestingly, during the lockdowns, official reports of child abuse dropped, but that didn't mean abuse actually declined. A JAMA network study in 2018 and follow-up data during the pandemic found that while reports went down, hospitalizations for severe child injuries went up, meaning abuse was still happening, just less likely to be noticed because kids weren't around teachers or other mandated reporters.
Another study accessed through MSU's Trails Library database found similar patterns. Fewer hotline calls, but increased reports from hospitals and police. Kids were isolated at home, and stress from job loss, housing instability, and mental health strain only made things worse.
And there's a PubMed central study showing how family stressors during lockdown, like substance use and domestic violence, directly increased risk factors for abuse. It found that children's mental and physical safety often depended on the availability of community supports, which were obviously cut off during isolation.
That brings us to solutions. What can we actually do to prevent child abuse?
Education is key. We need to help parents, teachers, and neighbors recognize the signs. Sudden behavior change, withdrawal, or unexplained injuries.
On top of that, we need to support prevention programs. For instance, law enforcement, counselors, and medical staff, to minimize further harm.
Plus, addressing mental health needs and economic stressors, especially during crises like the pandemic, can remove some of the biggest triggers for neglect.
Those are great points too. To close, I want to remind our listeners that child abuse is preventable and that every adult plays a role. If you suspect a child is being harmed, call the Child Help National Child Abuse Hotline at 1-800-4-CHILD. You could be the reason someone gets help. Thank you, Ashlynn and Jonas, for this important discussion, and thank you all for listening. Stay informed, stay compassionate, and keep kids safe.